Hi, I'm Peggy Miller. I'm with Highland Winds LLC, and this is the Medcl Herbal podcast series. And today, we're on the section called Chronic and Specific. It started with intro, moved through an overview which discussed terminology, went on to maintenance sections where I discussed age levels and how to use herbs for maintenance, and now I'm in chronic and specific, things that are just definitely wrong, and where you should probably see a medical herbalist, Chinese or Ayurvedic, in order to deal with them. I'm in the area discussing Qi deficiency. Last week I discussed spleen Qi deficiency, and I also touched on a number of the factors and what Qi deficiency is about and why it's important. Qi is energy. It's the force that helps all the cells do what they do. It's our bodies are extremely complicated and amazing, and Qi is needed just like we need nourishing our blood and maintaining our organs. Qi is important from the energy standpoint, very important. Without it, the organs don't work properly, and you feel very tired, and you tend to not work properly either. So today I want to just talk about lung Qi deficiency. In a way, one could think of it as fairly straightforward. The symptoms are straightforward. Basically, if, let's say, you have a client and they come in and they want to discuss their symptoms. If the first thing they say is coughing, I'm coughing all the time. Lung Qi deficiency is by definition one of the problems. It's not the only problem, usually. Usually, if you have lung Qi deficiency, if the energy isn't reaching the lungs properly, then there's a number of things to look to. Is the stomach and the spleen, are they working properly? Is food getting digested properly? Is the blood nourished properly? Are there other symptoms in addition to the lungs? But coughing itself, sometimes you just have lung Qi deficiency. The energy isn't working well in the lung area of your body. It's not reaching your lungs. And when that happens, the food nutrients aren't transported as well as they could be. It often indicates also poor nourishment in the sense of moisture, and that can indicate yin deficiency, which I've talked about previously. Yin deficiency sort of goes hand in hand with Qi often. But with lung Qi deficiency, there are herbs that help with this. Codonopsis is one, astragalus is another. Often they're paired together. Often they're paired with a couple of blood-nourishing herbs to help nourish and give you a little more food energy, as well as just direct energy from from the earth. Your body draws in energy from the earth and the surrounding air and sunshine. And it also gets energy from the food you eat. So your diet is very important always to maintain your Qi levels. And from my standpoint, in terms of my training as a Chinese and Ayurvedic herbalist, meat is part of the regimen. It is more difficult to maintain your food nutrition levels for your bloodstream without it, but it can be done. There are many herbs for that. So if you want to maintain your Qi, you don't only turn to Qi lifters like astragalus and codonopsis, which you do, but you also just really look at your diet. Do you have enough blood-nourishing herbs and food that you're taking in regularly? There are a lot of different blood-nourishing herbs that can help with this, as well as herbs like marshmallow, which just simply helps moisture. Sometimes there's internal inflammation. You may have had a sickness that really dried up the moisture in your esophagus, in your lungs, and you may have internal inflammation from it. And the trouble is, when you have the internal inflammation, you basically need to quiet the inflammation as much as you need to increase the actual qi coming in. Because if you have energy levels coming in, but you don't have enough nourishment and moisture, then you can really have a difficult situation. The lungs need to be moist, as opposed to, for example, the spleen, which prefers and operates far better if it's dry. So, which herbs? There are a lot of them you can grab that help. Marshmallow is one that really just helps. It helps with moisture. And then goji berries help with blood and overall yin nourishment. And they're easily found today in various markets. Schizandra is another one that's great for the lungs. It's also really good for the liver. So where you see it, if you see a tea that includes schizandra, try that one. It can be a very good one to have on hand. So you need to nourish the yin of the lungs as well as you need to increase the qi. Now, if someone is coughing a lot, but it's a dry cough, then sure, you can say, okay, you've got lung qi deficiency. But also, what regimen do you approach to do something about that? Yes, you do increase the qi with codonopsis and astragalus, for example, but you also, and diet, you look at the diet, but you also, if it's a dry cough, you really need to moisturize, because the dryness itself is causing the cough. So the more you increase the moisture through either, like herbs, as I just said, marshmallow, but also yin herbs like schizandra and goji berries, and Ramania helps, Ophiopogon, Glenea, they all help with lung qi from a moisture yin standpoint. So as you increase the yin and the moisture, the cough will subside. And then you work on getting that lung qi high enough so that it helps the lung just overall work better. Now, if there's coughing, but the person says that they get mucus a lot and they get colds a lot, then you really want to focus on a different kind of parameter of what you provide from an herbal standpoint. You work at both clearing the mucus. If there's a fair amount of mucus in the lungs, in the bronchial tubes, you really need to clear it. And until you've cleared it, it will be very hard to get rid of the cough. And so there are many herbs that, I always turn to hyssop or mullein, which are both great. If there's a lot of mucus, you add in Pinellia, bamboo shavings, triocanthus, depending upon how much internal inflammation. There are others like Champu, which helps to open up the passages so that then when you apply the hyssop or mullein, it works even better. And often you'll take something like hyssop and mullein and or Pinellia and or bamboo, and then you will also include marshmallow to have moisture, because moisture is different than mucus. Moisture is, when you think of your skin, if your skin is moist, your hair is, glossy and thick and moist. Moisture is what the body produces, and it's throughout the system, and it helps keep your hair rich and thick. It helps keep your skin in good condition. Moisture is very important. So it's always really important to have moisture. Mucus, which can slowly dry up and create phlegm, is just a byproduct of a poorly functioning spleen, lung, and stomach issue, which when they're not working properly, food isn't digested properly, and it can create mucus for one. Or if the lungs, for example, or the throat are dry or have been injured in any way with an illness, with a virus, the body responds by producing mucus to coat the throat, to coat the bronchial tubes. It's a defensive mechanism. But the problem is once the virus has subsided, you still have the mucus. And mucus can be kind of tough to get rid of. And that's why it's really important to use herbs. I think teas are the better way to go, especially for clearing mucus because it flushes it out. You drink the warm tea, add a little bit of honey, and it literally helps send all of those good herbs that clear up mucus, dry mucus, to the proper location and then flush it out. So tea is a really good thing to use for clearing mucus. So basically, when you've got colds, and you hear me often mentioning the spleen and the stomach, and to be honest, the kidneys get involved with this too. But basically, if is deficient, if energy is deficient in the spleen and or stomach, food will not be digested properly. And when that occurs and the spleen has to overwork, let's say it's stomach key deficiency, then the spleen has to overwork, then it gets worn out, mucus is created, food is not digested, you get more colds, you get more rundown, and it basically is sort of a cycle. So when somebody has lung key deficiency, I will often ask questions, as any clinical herbalist, any medical herbalist will. If you go see a medical herbalist, you'll find that they often start to ask questions about the spleen, the stomach, other symptoms in general, so that they can pinpoint what is causing the key deficiency. And often what is found is that it's a combination of both lung key deficiency and spleen key deficiency, and stomach often. So you've got a triage going on. When this happens, you really want to work on all areas, because as mucus builds, it can cause problems with the gallbladder ducts, etc. It can cause problems with the liver. So it's important to highlight it all. But lung key deficiency, if you're tired, you're coughing, you can't seem to get rid of the cough, whether it's mucus or not mucus, and or you get colds a lot, you've got lung key deficiency. And it's not easy to deal with, but it's very, herbs really can deal with it. They're great. And they work fairly effectively and fairly quickly. So I really recommend that you look into that. And if this is a chronic situation for you, find a medical herbalist, Chinese or Ayurvedic. They know this stuff and can get you on an herbal regimen that will really help. You'll learn what to take, and you can just help your health overall a great deal. So that's lung key deficiency. And I hope that was of help. This is Peggy Miller, Highland Winds. And this is a shout out to KFGM and to MCAT for airing these. And you'll also find them on YouTube under my Highland Winds LLC channel. Okay, you have a fantastic day. Bye.